Hey guys, how you going? Just been out to Melbourne Airport, Melbourne International Airport, to pick up a domestic package of 20 Osteogaster Eques, or Corydoras Eques, old terms. They're only young fish, as you'll see here in the outtake that we opened the polystyrene box in a local car park to do our division. We purchased 20 of those fish, 10 of which the Secretary of ASOV has taken on, and hopefully together we will crack the code. Eques are known to be extremely difficult to breed, requiring a bit of drought and torment to get them to go, but they're quite young fish, so they're probably only about 3 centimetres and going to need a good 6 months of growth, I feel, and some decent feed to get them up to size and conditioning for breeding. Never can tell, you know, but you want to make sure that your fish have got good health before you enter a drought spell, I suppose. But from here, no point me talking to you for another half an hour whilst I head home. So I'll show you as I unbox them in the fish room and the acclimatisation, and also releasing them into the tank. I dare say there's not going to be much colour in these poor little buggers, but you never can tell. See you then. Okay, so here we are, as promised. Box is now home in the fish room. Ta-da! For some reason, they have this extra bit of polystyrene on top of the 2 bags. I'm assuming it was just to stop the bags moving around in transit. No heat pack, but the fish do appear to be okay. Oh no, I don't think that. Oh no, he's moving. I thought I had one DOA. Let's get them up into the tank so that they can start acclimatising. Here's a tank that I've created for them already. The tank should just overflow once I get the fish in. Oh, apologies for the bad entry there, but there they be. So obviously I'll float them here for a little while. There's one suspect looking little fish, but hopefully as the temperature of the bag starts to come up, they'll be a little bit better. Now I think as this tank is standalone from any other tank, I'll test their water before I plop them in there. I do think that I'll catch the fish out of that water, given it's possibly ammonia ridden, but I'm not sure. It's only been, well, today really. Sorry for the glare. Oh, zoomage. There's that nice emerald green flash that the Eques have. So we'll see how they go. Alright guys, so here we are. It's literally 2 minutes after they were plopped into the tank. I've put a little bit of baby brine in, which is what you can see floating around. And there's 3 brave souls at the front of the tank. I've created some hides back there for the fish. The fact that they're foraging at the moment is a good sign, and that's why I always put a little bit of live food in, something that's going to survive in the tank for a little while, in order for them to hopefully start behaving in this way. Goodness knows where the other 7 have gone, but I'll give you an update on these fish just after this. But happy so far. possibly 3 girls up the front, and maybe, who knows, 7 boys have all gone and hidden around the back corner. But here's a couple of tips. Normally I'd turn the lights off for this, but just filming it for you guys. The lights are going to go off straight away after this footage. Always check your bag when you're emptying fish out after transit, because sometimes fish do get stuck and you might not see it, especially when they're double bagged like these were, which was good to see. Double bagging obviously gives that added safety and the air pressure to keep the water in the first bag that they're in. But always check the corners of your bags, because I won't lie, I have lost fish that way before, where I thought that I've emptied them all out of the bag, and that didn't occur. Secondly, thirdly, the net that you utilised to move the fish into their tank, make sure you sterilise it, because who knows, I don't know what these fish have been through, I don't know where they've come from or anything, so very limited knowledge on them. If they've got something, I don't want to transmit that straight away to another tank of fish, especially when you're dealing with, rare species like this. Last thing you want to do is go and pop that net into a tank and lose all your fry. But anyway, don't do that. Obviously, monitor your fish, make sure that they're good, check them periodically. The lights in the fish room are just about to go off anyways, but a great result. Also, make sure your cover glass goes on. Even though they're Osteogaster or Corydoras, they are air breathers and can fly up to the top and disappear on you out the back, where you won't know that it's happened. Good luck, and I'll give you an update tomorrow. Alright, so these little guys, Osteogaster Eques, have been acclimatised now to this tank for a week. I've popped a little bit of baby brine shrimp in there just to get them moving around for the purposes of showing you how they've coped. Being that they would be likely captive bred and not sure of their origin, have taken to pretty much everything as far as the foods are concerned. They take dry food, no problem. Haven't tried them on any of the vegetables yet, as some of the research suggests. However, doing very well. They're quite active in the tank, always come forward for food. As you can see, the tank setup that I have is it's a 2-foot tank, about 18 inches, not even, tall, with mat and filter on the rear. And I've just got an air stone up the front just to provide a little bit of extra oxygen into the tank just for the time of their acclimation. But plenty of hides, lots of moss. There's some banana palm there on the left that you can see, just to create a bit of biofilm that was fresh into the tank when I created it, knowing that these guys were coming. Some large river pebbles there. Those ones in particular are basalt. Not that it would matter for any purposes. A bit of driftwood and some creek sand. So that's granite-based sand that's from a local creek that I have nearby my home. It's quite fine, and I've found it to be very successful with the Corydoras. It doesn't seem to affect their barbels or anything like that. The Osteogaster Eques are probably one of the rarer fish in this genus to come into the country. They're known very much as a very difficult fish to breed. Recently at ASOV we've had Hans Evers and Johannes Graf attend, and both of them have successfully bred these fish and detailed that they require a drought period in order for them to breed. By that, these fish come from the Amazonas basin in a place called Corydoras, which is drained by the Amazon River. So in the dry months, in the warm season over there in Brazil, obviously the little tributaries that these fish come from get drained of a lot of water,
and when the rainfall stops, and they find themselves to be stuck in small creeks or even somewhat puddles or similar, where they are treated to a drought. Temperatures will increase. There'll be limited food due to the vast numbers of fish that are in these little areas, and they basically have to wait out for the first rainfalls to do any movement at all. The Corydoras, and especially Osteogaster and alike, those species of fish, genus of fish, are air breathers, so they can tolerate these small puddles, whereas other species of fish can't. They'll take off to the top, to the surface, grab a gulp of air and come back down, which obviously suits them. There goes one right now. Obviously suits them in these environments, and they're able to store up what body fat that they can get in the form of protein prior to that drought period occurring. And with the first rainfalls comes fresh water and a lot of food, typically washed from the land around. And obviously it's a time of year where insects are breeding, and there's a lot of fry and larvae entering the water. So the purpose of the drought is to mimic that, to initiate basically a 3-month drought in your own fish tank. No water changes, very, very limited food, and increase your temperatures. So if you've got an inboard heater, if you don't, you'll have to add one. Just raise the temperature by up to 26, which is the higher end for these fish. 28 probable would be okay, but you wouldn't want to go too warm and put too much stress on them. They won't have any food. Let the water naturally evaporate from your tank if you can, and then after your 3 months, a cool water change. So you don't want to shock them too much. You want at least maybe 2 or 3 degrees in difference in temperature, and do your first water change. Top up the tank, and for the next couple of days, do good 50% water changes, cool water changes, to mimic the onset of spring rain. In doing this, you want to make sure that you're putting plenty of protein in, a lot of live foods, black worms, white worms, anything you can get your hands on, earthworms, if they're big enough fish to take them. You'd be surprised what these guys eat. High protein foods to fatten up the females, to ready the males for spawning, and with any luck, you'll get some eggs out of it. It's really one of those fish that I'm looking forward to breeding and giving my best attempt to do. So hopefully you'll get a bit of an update on these fish in the future. But Osteogaster eques, beautiful little fish. Get some if you can. They're not very readily available here in Australia, but are in further locations around the world. If you've got any questions of me, I haven't spawned these fish in particular. These are obviously brand new to me in my fish room, but they are very similar in respect of drought seasons for other fish. So any questions, you can check out my channel. There are some talks there by Johan Graf and Hans Evers, which will explain in further detail the drought process and their efforts in breeding these fish. So hopefully you've enjoyed this little species spotlight and my trip to go and get them from the airport, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.